future. Number two, once you cross 25, you get married, you get a job. If you are lucky, you get a job at 25. Of course, you can qualify IAS in 21-year-old or most of the competitive examinations. I'm talking about people who are majority. I'm not talking about people who are minorities who can afford to inherit a great amount of wealth, so which is a very minuscule proportion of the entire population. But I'm talking about middle class, which is a large number of population in the world, and they are the people who are hand to mouth. They are the people who are basically running the race for survival of the fittest in Darwinian sense. And then you realize that look, you got married now, and once you got married, you have children, and then children's education, their marriage. So you have created a new loop of life which will entangle you, circumvent you from doing or venturing out anything which you want to do in doing life. It's like a self imposed. I'm not saying that these rituals are great, these rituals are perfect, they are designed for keeping the people. But one important thing is that individuals who want to rise in their lives, they need to create and customize themselves. What is the right age for them to get married? Now, if you don't have the money and you have the age to get married, you have to take a call whether marriage is important or building up your future is important. Now, if you decide to, you don't have the resources because of social conventions, you'll end up getting married, have a children, and you have no resources to afford them. Can you imagine the kind of life you will enter into? It's going to be hell for you. Although you're married, you are very conforming to the societal needs, but what is going to happen is you will get into a bottomless hole where you won't know where to fall. And you will breed miseries, you will multiply miseries, the children will be born with the abject deprivations, your wife will be complaining. So, you have created a snowball effect. That's what I was telling you. The one shirt button goes wrong in the wrong hole, then your entire shirt goes haywire. So, so it is important for you to take a decision whether having a resources first and then getting married is important, or getting married and then looking for the resources. Is it not a harakiri? I think it's a practical suicide. Then, for example, you get married also, and I'm just not trying to build up the horror story. I'm trying to make you realize how important it is for you to lay the foundation. I mean, there are a large number of people who are very successful. I'm not saying that, but there is a possibility that you may fall into this kind of a trap. Now, for example, if you have a job, but there is an underemployment concept. For example, you're highly educated, but you may be working in a menial position. You may be getting the half the salary you deserve, and if you deserve 20,000 salary, maybe you are compromised for 10,000 rupees salary. With the inflations around, you will find it increasingly difficult to deal with this salary. So what will happen is you will start landing up into corruption, you will start landing up doing things which are not ethical, which are wrong. You might indulge into crime because your emotional entanglement with the family is much greater than compromising with your values and ethics. So it will breed criminality, and there is a possibility that one day you are caught and then your entire life is ruined. The third factor which is possible is even you got married, you are potentially employed, you have potentially paid for your abilities and skills. But for example, Corona happened and people lost their jobs. Now you have already taken a mortgage for buying one bedroom house, small dwelling unit above. Everybody's pride is to have your own house, roti, kapda, or makan. So these are the basic essentials. And so you started your career and you have borrowed the money and you taken the loan, and what will happen is that the roof will disappear because you lost your job and you're not able to pay the EMI. You have taken a motorcycle or car on EMI. You will default in that. So this will again spring different kind of miseries. So it's very important that you develop a life designing strategies so that you can anticipate, you can undergo a simulation, and you can develop a model that if it doesn't happen, if it happens, it's fine. If it doesn't, like it's called decision tree, a contingency planning. Do you have a contingency planning? Now that's very important. You parallelly, for example, you lose your job, either you will start hunting around for a job or you become an entrepreneur. So these are, you have to have a simultaneously and parallelly a contingency planning. So this is my advice to you. Just don't jump into it without having a backup, and so creating a backup is a conscious strategy, is a life designing strategy. That, for example, when you take up a job, maybe you will start developing a small business line for yourself. Business line, you get your wife engaged in something which she's like today, I think under the current government, BJP government, Prime Minister Modi is very committed to giving mudra loans to the people so they become entrepreneur and the vocational engagements. So maybe you develop that kind of a support infrastructure while you are can afford a life. So you have a backup ready. So now most of the people they enjoy the success, but they don't know how to deal with the failure. So this is another important factor which I thought is a part of that life design strategy. Then you got married, everything has gone well, then children born, and then children's education. You know how education is so expensive. So either you will send them to the substandard school. As a result, their caliber will get underutilized. So, one leads to many other complications. So, you, as a part of the life designing strategy, that you need to build a trajectory of life, you need to, for example, I'm just giving an example. Some people are so fond of having a son in the family that they have four daughters, five daughters, because they are chasing having a boy. Now, three or four girls with the dowry system existing in our country. Can you imagine what kind of life you will go through, because you will have to start building up enough resources for your daughters to get married? And because you wanted a son, as a result, you have three daughters or four daughters, and either you stop it there or you keep on perpetuating your reproduction capabilities, and you'll end up in a thicker soup again and again. So what is happening is you have again landed up in a, so life designing strategy means you say it doesn't matter whether daughters or son. Simple thought. I don't care. If I've got two daughters, I will stop it there, because this is what I can afford and this is what kind of resources I have. So you will be criminally bringing children whom you are not able to. So what will happen is they will run into different kind of professions. They will perhaps go around, become criminal. They might start doing something wrong, and they'll bring disgrace. They'll shortcut themselves because money is needed. I have seen many children revolting because they're not given the phone by their parents, and what kind of heinous crimes they have committed as a result of falling into this temptation. Then what happens is you take a call. You can you afford a child? Maybe one child is good enough. So your burden is less. Your wife is being engaged, even suppose she's illiterate. Still, you can hand over some kind of work to her, and just don't make her a housewife. She must become entrepreneur. If you have more money, maybe you can always afford a house help. So you train. Now another factor is, oh, my wife will not work. This ego factor. So my wife will not go out of home for work. No, why do you have to have this ego factor? Allow her to work wherever she wants to work, earn money, and lead a dignified life. Now, your one particular futile thought that my wife will not work can actually ruin the posterity. I'm a great believer of Osho, and Osho said, of course, it is a little serious digression for what I'm saying is, it is a very inorganic orientation of my thoughts. I'm not endorsing it completely, but I see the value in that. Osho said that if you really want to unlock the potentials of a child, then we don't have the competent parenting. It's a very fundamental fact. Are you competent parent in terms of bringing up your children? For example, a dacoit son, most probably, a very substantially, it is possible that he will also become what his father is. A son of a businessman will become a businessman. A son of policeman would like to get into a job of an authority. So a son of cobbler would most probably will become a cobbler. A son of a scavenger might also become a scavenger. Son of electrician would might follow. I mean, because the influence is so high, and the values they are brought up is by the immediate value. The essence of my point is, whichever the system you are living in, you are interacting in, that influences your future. So you start following the same no, same principles and same profession which you are surrounded with, and you start growing. So what is happening is, maybe you have the potential to become a super engineer. You can become a scientist. You can become a great painter. You can become a great singer. But you have been imposed by the incompetent parenting of their influence, and they try to create a clone and a replica of themselves. It is not something they don't want the golden future of the children, but that's a limitation of their competence. They have no competence to give you new directions because they themselves are not so enlightened in life. So Osho said there should be a competent commune, competent professional body where you hand over your children to them, not only for education but for entire upbringing. And they are the people who have a simulation, who have the resources, and a lot of rich people can contribute to the corpus of those competent commune who can take the responsibility of the young children, how, what kind of projection, what kind of future they have. So I think it's a great idea, but unfortunately, we are umbilically connected with our parents, and parents don't want to at any cost, and they rub their limited influence, which may not be absolutely relevant to the child's potential. So as a result, one replicates. It's like a chain reaction, and you multiply your clones, and you bring a mediocrity in the system. So it's very important that at least if parents understand they are not the right people, they must do something so that child is brought up. It's an ideal situation. I know it's not possible, but some relevance of thought, if you can take it, maybe it will become very useful. So this is another life designing strategy. How do you design your life? This is the question which I'm raising here right now. Another thing is self awareness. How you develop the self awareness. Now, there are two theories. One is a prescriptive theory, another is a rational theory. In a prescriptive theory, you follow the rules laid down by the system. For example, somebody says you have to get up in the morning at 4 in the morning, you have to sleep at 9 in the night. Now, if that becomes your system, obviously you cannot take a night jobs. So you'll be refrained from taking a night jobs. I'm not saying biologically or health wise it is okay or not, but there are different tendencies. So for following the prescriptive rule is the easier because there is no application of mind, and the most of the people in the world, they hate applying their mind. We